Goff, president of Callzilla. I was the host of this week's ICMI Chat, hashtag ICMI Chat. Topic of this week was managing multi-channel in the contact center. And in the course of our discussion, we talked about all things multi-channel. We talked about phone, we talked about email, we talked even about fax, we talked about chat, we talked about social media, et cetera, et cetera. One of the big tenets that I believe in is not only the future, but really it's the present of our contact center industry and the way companies engage with their customers and potential customers is the use of video chat. As part of this week's wrap-up session, I wanted to introduce a friend and colleague of mine, a local friend and colleague of mine in the Miami area, Will Weinraub, who's the CEO and founder of a great company called LiveNinja that is on the forefront of video chat. Will, I think everyone can see you, and hopefully you can see everyone. Welcome to the wrap-up session. We want to talk a little bit about video chat. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate you having me, man. Excited to be here.
Cool. So a little bit of quick summary. In the participant group, there were some people that were really enthused about video chat, and I think there were some other people that kind of maybe didn't get it or were a little hesitant. Tell us just a little bit at a general level. Are companies also excited about introducing video chat to the customer care and customer engagement marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it hits on the same kind of feedback that the channel gave as well. There are some companies that are super excited about it. They believe it's the next frontier. They believe it's the future. There are some brands that are a little bit hesitant, and that's fine. I mean, with any new technology, people are kind of reluctant to adopt what they don't understand, and that happens in all sorts of frontiers with new tech. So with video chat, you see a lot of companies that like to utilize it as a differentiator, right? They want to differentiate themselves against their competitors and use it, for really great customer experience, really great customer support, to have kind of memorable moments online. And then you have other brands that think, okay, you know what? I don't really need video chat for my business, and that's fine. We're not saying video chat's for everyone. We think it's for a very specific use case, for very specific businesses. I mean, it works great when you're talking, when a customer is talking to a business where the human component is very necessary to be a part of the transaction. So obviously like financial services, real estate, a face-to-face business, telemedicine, right? These are things where you need a human component to be a part of the transaction. You can't asynchronously buy home insurance. You need somebody to help you. You can't asynchronously get a mortgage for your house. You have people that have to walk you through that process. So we see it used for specific brands and not for others, and that's okay. It's not for everybody, but there are a lot of brands that are excited for it, and for those brands, it can make all the difference.
Thank you. Talk a little bit more about the specifics. In my mind, I think of, for example, maybe help desk and tech support. When you're having trouble installing a piece of equipment or a piece of software isn't working, and maybe it's helpful to show somebody, a technician, your screen. Is video chat appropriate for that type of use?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great use case, and the customer support angle, for sure. I mean, when something you need to show somebody how to, fix a sink or fix obviously your computer, or install something on your computer, things like that. Video chat is very helpful because it presents a visual medium where there was none before. Before it was audio only or text only, so that's really important. So on the customer support side, absolutely, you're seeing that in lots of cases. And then on the sales side, you're seeing it for those businesses that I mentioned where they really want to convert people right there in the moment, and the human component is very necessary, and also trust is a really important thing. When you're buying something like life insurance or health insurance, or you're getting a mortgage on your home, or you're looking for a new home, when you're talking to a doctor, trust is incredibly important, and there's nothing that can really kind of establish trust more so than seeing another human being, empathizing with another human being, and connecting on that level. The medium that you and I are video chatting in right now, that specific medium, is the closest thing that we get to a human-to-human interaction, but location agnostic. And that can be very, very powerful for brands. So you see it on the sales side, you see it on the customer support side, even more so, and more brands are starting to adopt it. And people are really banking that this is the future of e-commerce, and that 10 years from now, you go to a company like Tiffany's, if you want to buy your significant other a gift, you're not going to have an asynchronous, lonely experience. You're not going to have to zoom in and look at different items and checkouts at shopping carts and filling out a credit card. No, 10 years from now, you'll fire up Tiffany's.com on your mobile device, and they'll say, "Hey Neil, welcome to Tiffany's. What can I show you today?" And it'll be just like you walked into Tiffany's walk to a Tiffany store, but you're doing it on Tiffany's.com. So that's where a lot of the excitement's lying right now.
That's interesting. So it sounds like both for the sales, the lead generation, and as well as the servicing of actual and existing, this is totally relevant.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at like a company like State Farm, right? I use State Farm a lot as an example. State Farm, you go to statefarm.com, that's a glorified lead generation site. I mean, you hear a State Farm commercial on television, they're not going to say go to statefarm.com. They're going to say call to speak with your local State Farm representative or go to a local State Farm branch, because they know the medium that's necessary to convert an insurance sale is usually with another human being. You can't trust somebody to asynchronously fill out a 50-question form where they have lots of concerns, especially in this ADD-driven generation, where they're a Facebook notification or a Twitter notification away from being, from losing the sale completely. So really, having this medium that you and I are in right now, you have my full attention, I have your full attention. That's really powerful for a brand to say, I have your full attention for 30 minutes, especially in the moment of highest intent. And if I'm on statefarm.com, I'm there for a reason. I'm not there to check the weather. I need insurance, right? So insurance is a business where they know the medium. So State Farm, you go to statefarm.com, they're just going to say enter in your zip code, and then we'll show you local State Farm reps that you can call. This is just another way of bridging that gap a lot faster.
So interesting, you led into something I wanted to ask you. During our chat this week, the topic came up that maybe video chat is more targeted toward exactly to what you mentioned, millennials. It's more oriented towards certain generations and maybe excludes others. This is a specific shout out to Leslie O, who did mention that even though she may be from one generation, she is a user of technology like video chat and video. What do you think, in general terms? Millennials only, or this just spans the generation and the demographic?
Well, again, it's hard to segment like that, because one person in one age group can love video chat, another person is not comfortable in video chat. So it's hard. A lot of people are still uncomfortable talking on the phone because of anxiety and stuff like that. So it's really hard to equate. But really, what we see from the data is there are two sets of customers that love video chat. Millennials, A, so she hit it right on the head, and believe it or not, senior citizens, older demographics. Why? Because all of a sudden, video chat, even though it's new technology, it makes technology disappear. So if I'm filling out a form, like I'm an older person that doesn't really understand technology or familiar with technology, I can get frustrated filling out a long form and the page loading and all this stuff. But all of a sudden, once a video chat comes on, people know how to communicate with other human beings, technology disappears, and they're like, oh, I get this, I'm talking to another human being. That's why you see in like Skype marketing and a lot of video chat marketing, you see the grandparents chatting with their grandchildren, because they really prefer that method of communication. So we see the millennials, and we see a lot of older people, senior citizens, loving to use this technology as well. But then, of course, in the middle, there are people that prefer the technology too. But those are, from a data standpoint, what we see is two segments that are really excited about it.
Sure. So thinking about a different element and other people's and other companies' concerns is, all of a sudden the topic of appearance comes back into play. In the contact center, you have to have agents perhaps that are wearing a coat and tie or that are formally dressed. No longer can you have agents, wearing ripped jeans and T-shirts and flip-flops and maybe even look like if their hair is dyed and they have piercings and tattoos and things like that. Sure. What do you think? Those are true, legitimate concerns? How do companies address that, or is it really just a moot point and doesn't matter?
Well, I think it's specific in each use case. Like I think if call centers are rolling this out, yes, there has to be a specific part of the call center that's focused just on video chat, providing that service. And obviously the people that are going to show their appearance, they have to be mindful of that. So whether the company logo's in the back, whether they have the proper attire on, that's absolutely stuff that they need to think about at the end of the day. What we see is also brands, believe it or not, that is kind of skipping out of the call center option, and they're using their own boots on the ground that they have already to answer the call. So we're talking with some retailers that they already have hundreds of employees in the stores. You call a local store, they answer their phone like normal. They say, hi, thank you for contacting so-and-so. How can I help you? Using the digital channel to bring in customers, and then using terminals, iPads, iPhones, things like that to route the calls to the retail stores where they're already professionally dressed, where they already have the inventory surrounding them. we see companies doing that as well. So again, it's very much on a case-by-case use case. We also see brands tell us that they believe video chat is the future, but they believe also that they need to have text chat as well. So what we see is they like to route their text-based communication, their phone-based communication to call centers, and the video chat they augment on top of those communications with like 2 or 3 video chat agents that they have in-house. So you see a combo of solutions that people are starting to roll out.
Awesome. So I think kind of the final question, technology. For those of us that aren't necessarily fluent in technology, I think natural concerns or questions come up. You know, platform, mobile versus desktop.
Yeah.
You know, tell us just kind of at a general level, how does that work? Are there real concerns about the different platforms, and can any company use this regardless of what platform that their users or at the enterprise level they've engaged?
Yeah, well, again, I think it depends on the use case. Obviously, contact centers are going to probably, you'll have a controlled environment where they're taking the video calls on a desktop. And then you got to determine what the customer endpoint is. The customer endpoint could be a kiosk, where it's a set kiosk in a store. They tap a button and it goes directly to the call center. They could also be on a website. Now, if it's on a website, you have to be mindful that certain browsers are only capable to handle this type of technology. So if they're using WebRTC and there's no flash fallback, it'll only work in Chrome, Firefox, and Opera, the current browsers that support it. If there's a flash fallback, it would work in the other ones. We also see people injecting the technology into their apps. So on the mobile side, Android supports WebRTC in their browsers. So you could just automatically fire up a video call inside a browser on Android. iOS, however, has to be baked into a native application to take control of the microphone and the webcam. So companies that have iOS apps, you would take this kind of solution that we have with Katana, as one example, and inject it into their iPhone or iPad application to be able to facilitate it. So yeah, companies have to be mindful that certain platforms can handle the technology in different ways, and you just have to equate for it. If 90% of your customers are on Android, then you go one route. If 90% of your customers are using iOS, you go another route. If also you're not opening it up to general population of customers and you just have kiosks located all over the country, that's another route. You have a controlled endpoint with the kiosk. So it really depends on the deployment strategy of the customer.
Okay, so kind of last point here. I'll leave this as an open topic. For the hashtag ICMI chat, the contact center, the customer engagement, customer experience, customer care community, what would you like us to know about video chat as a kind of industry, parting point? We should be excited, we should be worried. Give us kind of, parting words or advice for those of us that are interested or a little concerned. What do you think we should do or know?
I think it's really emerging technology. It's a very, very hot space. I think contact centers that are going to start rolling out solutions that can present brands with like new and differentiating experiences for their customers are really going to win and win new brands. Gartner just put out a study that 100 of the top 500 companies in the world are going to have a video chat-based customer-facing solution by 2018. So the trend is clearly there. It's about who wants to kind of get ahead of the curve. And right now we're just kind of seeing the real excitement start to build up. So I think now is a very, very important time for call centers that want to differentiate themselves and get ahead of what looks to be the future of digital customer experiences.
Super. Well, I really appreciate your time, your great spirit. Thanks for being available, for sharing some ideas with our community, the hashtag ICMI chat group. I hope you have a chance to participate in our weekly Twitter sessions. There's a great group of individuals that represent the breadth and span of the industry, from brands to consultants to contact centers to in-house to outsource. It spans the gamut, and it's a great group. I think this topic is cutting edge for all of us. I'm going to put in a final plug for you and for LiveNinja. Those of you that have the chance to come to Miami, Miami is known typically for South Beach, for parties, for the beach, for the weather, and those things, we enjoy them. They're great. We have a budding tech and startup sector within our city, particularly housed in an area called Wynwood, which is where Will's company is based. I visited their offices. Their space is absolutely unbelievable. I want to work there. I hope, Will, you'll let me come in and visit like on a frequent basis. It's a really cool story. The LiveNinja story is really cool. The story behind Wynwood is fantastic, and it's a great thing for our city and our local community, and I'm proud to be able to kind of, share that with our group and with the overall industry and community. So again, thank you for joining us. I hope you can become a regular part of the group. And if anyone has questions or wants to reach out, Will, how do they find you?
Yeah, definitely. You can just hit me up via email, will@liveninja.com. Pretty easy email address to remember. I'm pretty responsive to email. I would love to hear from you.
Super. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hashtag ICMI Chat. This is the wrap-up session for managing multi-channel in the contact center. Hope you enjoyed it. Give us some feedback. Hit up Will. He's obviously a very approachable guy, as you can see. Video chat is not the future. It's the present. Will, thank you again.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it, man.